Dead as a Doornail, Book 6 of the Stan Kraychik Mysteries. Author, Grant Michaels. Publisher, St. Martin's Press, New York. Narrator, Eric Aust. Chapter 19. I rush home with my bag of goodies and hunker down for some serious homework. Turns out the box of candy from Tina is real, so I even have a half-pound of imported bonbons to keep my jawbone busy during the show. It's going on 5 o'clock, and I should have some real food first, but I'm too eager to hear the tape, so I slap cassette number 1 into the player and slap a cream-colored truffle into my mouth. Branco's voice comes on the tape, and I'm almost ashamed to hear it in my own living room, as though it's absolute proof that I'm doing something forbidden. He starts out with the formalities regarding the date and time, along with the names of the other cops present in the room. Then Branco's voice says that he is interviewing Chip Colton. He reads the guy's rights, but Chip says he doesn't want a lawyer. Branco asks him if he's ready to make a statement, and Chip agrees. I'm not surprised. When you're in a small room with Branco, you are overcome by a willingness to tell all. In a quiet, repentant voice, Chip begins to explain that he had visited Myron earlier this morning to pay a debt. Branco interrupts him. That's Mr. Kratz, right? Yes, says Chip. Kratz. Betty Crocker's family name is Kratz. I get my attention back to Chip's statement. Apparently, Myron told him he didn't want money for this debt, and Chip was so disgusted by what happened after that, he began to hurt Myron. He stopped just in time. When he realized what he had done, he called the police. Branco says, "Could you be more specific about how you hurt Mr. Kratz?" Chip says in a soft voice, "I had my hands around his neck. I was choking him." "Did you hit him?" "No," says Chip. When we got there, Mr. Kratz was bleeding. Can you explain that?" "No." "You're certain you didn't strike him?" "Not unless I blacked out," says Chip. Branco says, "Do you have blackouts?" "No." "Then why do you think you might have blacked out?" Chip's voice sounds fragile. "Because it was so awful." "What was?" says Branco. "What he wanted to do. Can you tell me?" "It was disgusting," says Chip. "See, I lied to Myron. Told him I felt confused, that maybe it would be all right if he put his mouth on me. I was trying to tell myself that it didn't really matter what he was doing down there as long as I didn't want to do it back. But it was disgusting. He was really enjoying it." "And what about you, Chip Doll?" Branco says, "Did you at any time before this meeting with Mr. Kratz suspect that he would ask you for sexist payment?" "No," says Chip, once again settled in his quiet little victim's voice. What exactly was this payment for?" Chip hesitated. "Myron has something I wanted." "And what is it?" Another pause. "It was something that belonged to me. So Mr. Kratz has something of yours that he wanted you to pay him for." "Yes," mused Chip. "That's odd," says Branco. "Why would he do that?" Because he knew I wanted it back." "How did he manage to get a hold of it?" There's a pause. Then Chip says, "He found it." "And how did he know it was yours?" Chip is silent. "Please answer the question," says Branco. "If Mr. Kratz found the thing, how did he know it was yours?" "Because it's something he gave to me." "Gave to you," says Branco. "You mean it was a gift?" Another pause, then a barely discernible, "Yes." "So Mr. Kratz gave you something which you then lost, and which he subsequently found, and then wanted you to pay him for. Is that it?" "Yes." Branco takes a deep breath and lets it out in a big He-Man kind of sigh. "And you were agreeable to that arrangement until Mr. Kratz wanted a sexual favor as his payment?" "Yes," says Chip. Branco says, "Mr. Holton, would you please describe this thing of yours that Mr. Kratz has possession of?" Chip says, "It's a nail file." "A nail file? Could you be more specific?" It's a diamond dust file, sterling silver with an onyx handle. It's in a black leather case and has an inscription on the handle. I think it came from Treves. I can almost see Branco's mouth puckering up on that. Can you tell me what the inscription says? There's a pause. Then Chip says, I'd rather not. Can you explain why Mr. Kratz would give you such an expensive item? Chip gulped so loudly that it registers on the tape. Then he says, Myron says my hands are perfect, and it bothers him that I use toothpicks to clean under my nails. He says it's a sign of low-class breeding. I guess he gave me the file so I wouldn't use toothpicks anymore. Branco says, and where's the file now? Chip says, I guess Myron still has it. Branco says, and do you want the file back? No, I mean, what's the point if I'm here talking to you? That's what I was afraid of in the first place. That he'd go to the police. And why is that? Says Branco. Another pause. Then Chip says, I think there's something else I'd better tell you. If I don't, Myron will. And what is that? Myron found that file in the house where the accident happened yesterday morning. Accident, says Branco. The kid who fell down the stairs. Long pause on the tape. I'm holding my breath too. Branco says, are you telling me that you were in that house yesterday morning? Yes, sir. Oh, no. Now we're in sir territory. I quickly stuff a bonbon in each cheek. I'm not quite prepared for the apricot mint melange that results. Branco says, was Mr. Kratz in the house as well? I guess so, says Chip. But we weren't there at the same time. What time were you there? In the morning. Please be specific. I can't, says Chip. I don't remember. Another blackout, probably. Branco says, when you were there, Mr. Holtron, was anyone else with you? Chip is silent. Please answer the question, says Branco. More silence. Mr. Holtron, would you please explain what you were doing in that house? Oh, Jesus, says Chip. He makes a loud groan and then he starts crying. A few moments later, Branco's voice says, I am stopping the tape while the subject collects himself. I stop the tape too, as though I must respect Chip Holton's masculine pride, just as Branco has done. I chomp on another bonbon, thinking how Branco is pretty good at getting the real dirt. I'd have to have someone in a styling chair to get the same results, and even then, I've never made a straight guy break down, not yet. When I start the tape again, Branco is restating the formalities. Then he says to Chip, please explain what you were doing on the property at 101 Wiltham Street on the morning of April 1st. Chip says, I was meeting Thorne for a photo shoot. Thorne, says Branco. You mean Thorne Hightower? Yes, says Chip. And he was going to take photographs of you? Yes. I have an unsettling feeling that there won't be enough bonbons to get me through all the tapes. And Branco asks, what was the nature of this photo shoot? Chip explains. We have a deal. Thorne takes pictures of me and splits whatever he gets by selling them. I see, says Branco. Chip says, he's going after the greeting card companies right now, but he's planning to branch out. Meaning what? A specialty magazine, things like that. Meaning what? Chip says, all the photos so far were mood shots, romantic kind of things. Branco pauses before asking the next question. Were you clothed for those photos? Oh yeah, says Chip. Wow, don't get the wrong idea. It was always jean and a sport shirt. I might unbutton the shirt a little and roll up the sleeves, but there was nothing sexy or porno about the photos. You could give them to your grandmother. I mean, I'm not gay or anything. What does or anything mean? Branco says, go on. I know Thorne wanted to try some sexy shots. He made comments about it all the time, but I told him I wasn't interested in that. I don't mind flexing my muscles, but I'm not going to drop my pants in front of the camera, would you? The question elicits no comment from Branco. Chip says, I think some things should be kept personal. The only time I'm naked with other guys is at the gym, but this would be different. I mean, the whole world would see me, so I told Thorne no. And that was the end of it? Chip says. He told me to keep it in mind, that there was no hurry. But then he always brought it up again, so I know he wanted to do it. Anyway, we talked about it when we set up the photo shoot for yesterday, and I told him no again. But that's what I was thinking about while I was fixing my nails. Thorne always likes to get my hands in the frame. I have really nice hands. There's another pause. Chip is probably showing his hands to Branco. Chip says, I was giving them a touch-up. I mean, even straight guys like to look good. There's another pause. Maybe Chip is waiting for a compliment or some grunt of agreement from Branco. He's got a long wait. Branco says, please continue with the statement. Chip says, so there I was thinking about the photo shoot, and I started having second thoughts. Like, what if Thorne forces me to do something sexy? Forces you, said Branco. Not physically, but Thorne can be very convincing. He has that way about him, and the next thing you know, you're doing exactly what he wants. Does Branco recognize a similar talent in himself? Chip continues, and the more I thought about it, the more I worried that Thorne would want me to do something sexy for him. Then, I don't know, I got feeling kind of weird about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was afraid that people seeing the shots would get the wrong idea about me. They'd think I was gay, and I'm not gay, Branco says. Please go on. So, I decided to get out of that place before any trouble happened between us. Trouble, says Branco. I wasn't sure how Thorne would take it if I backed out of our business deal. I think he sees me as his meal ticket. Well, I'm sorry, but I've got my own reputation to think about. I figured I'd call him and make excuses about the bad weather, and maybe we could just forget the whole thing. I'm sorry I ever got involved with him at all. Isn't that what you did? Says Branco. You called him. Yes, said Chip. I phoned him at his store as soon as I could get somewhere quiet. Thorne wasn't there, so I left a message on the machine. You can hear it yourself unless he erased it. I told him I wasn't going to make it for our session on account of the weather, and he shouldn't bother going there. And Branco says, and where does Mr. Kratz fit into this? Myron must have showed up after I left. And that's when he found your nail file. The one he had given you as a gift? Chip replies. When you say it like that, it sounds awful. Myron gave me that file because he thought my hands deserved good treatment. You can make a lot of money modeling hands. That's really what I should stick to. None of that bare body stuff. So you have posed without clothing? God, no, says Chip. I already told you, never. I keep my body to myself. Theoretically speaking, Chippo. Branco says, and you dropped the nail file on your way out. Yes, says Chip. I left there in a hurry, kind of worked myself into a panic, I guess, and that's when I must have dropped it. Was anyone else in the house at that time? Oh, no, says Chip. His voice is firm and strong this time. But it's obvious mine was there after me if he found the file. Look, I'm sorry I hurt him, but I was really disgusted by what he wanted to do. That's kind of how I feel about Thorne now, too. I don't want to be involved with people like that anymore. Are you saying that Mr. Hightower wanted to have sex with you, too? No, says Chip. Thorne is definitely straight. But he wanted to do some sex shots of me. I hear the sound of a door opening. Branco announces the entrance of another cop, and that cop informs him that Myron Kratz is ready to be questioned. Branco tells Chip that he's going to hold him for further questioning. Chip asks why. Branco explains that he has just admitted to assaulting Myron Kratz, and if Mr. Kratz presses charges, he'll have to arrest Chip, pending bail. Chip's response is, shit! So ends tape number 1. Forget the commercial break, I go straight for cassette number 2. A Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. to offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.